This is 194th day of the Ukrainian resistance. This is the Media Center Ukraine in Ukrinform. We are beginning our conversation with Denis Marchuk, the deputy head of the All-Ukrainian Agrarian Council. Hello, Denis. Hi. Denis, it's more than a month we have the humanitarian mission, which also has the name of Grain Corridor. This mission provides export of Ukrainian grain. I would like to ask you about the following. What are the three main conclusions you could make, or ideas or trends, about the work of this grain corridor? Well, the first conclusion in this those corridors are acting, which gives the opportunity for Ukraine to export, and that is to get the foreign currency revenue, which is so necessary during the wartime to support the economy. Moreover, we as a state are showing for the whole world that we are the guarantor of the food security in the world, and all the obligations which we took, we are ready to perform. We can see that the potential of the increase through the seaports is there. Every day we can see new ships departing, and during August, since the 1st of August till the 1st of September, from the seaports we had 1,700,000 tons loaded. As of the 4th of September, this is already 2 million tons. So the potential of the ports of Odessa, we have the potential of 3.5 million of tons of grains monthly, and it's totally real. We can work on that. What are the advantages and what are the risks of this decision? Because as of today, in fact, we really depend on how the sides, in particular Russia, will comply with these deals. Don't we need to think more about diversification? Diversification is taking place because the alternative ways are also actively used. We are increasing export through these work. During the work, about 1 million of tons was sent by the railways. We're actively developing river ports through the Danube, because the figure of 1.1 through the seaports is 1.6 million tons was done through the river ports, approximately 600,000 through the automobile roads, and this alternative is not stopped. Every month we are developing it, vice versa, on the contrary, to provide Ukrainian products to the markets. As for the risks, of course, there are some of the risks, but under our conditions, and the UN and Turkey are the security guarantors. So we are relying upon them. We hope that the preconditions, provisions of the Istanbul deal will be done not only till the end of August, when we have 120 days, and then this contract will be automatically prolonged, because we as the state, we perform all the obligations which we took. We are ready to answer the questions. Could you please introduce yourself? Hello, I'm from Ukrinform, I'm Tetiana Chmela, and I will have the following question. The Ministry of Agrarian Policy is expecting that in the current marketing year, Ukraine will be able to export approximately 65-70 million tons of products. Is it real under current conditions? I think the figure will be much lower, approximately 50 million, because we'll need to be within the harvest and yielding, which is assessed approximately 60-65, but we also have transitional remnants. If the Istanbul deals go on, then we will be able to expand the export opportunities. So in autumn we will be able to fully close the issue of approximately 3.5 million tons, and expanding it with the railways, automobile, roads and river ports, we have the perspective to achieve more than 7 million, which is much higher than we had before the war. So monthly we will be working under the conditions which we had before the war. So the chances to export during the marketing new year 2022-2023, approximately 50 million would be the real figure. Could you please tell, have we lost any markets during this standby, and were we able to conquer any new markets? As of today, we are exporting within the deals and agreements which have been formed at the pre-war period. Approximately 19 countries of the world are taking our agrarian products. Those are the countries of Middle East and North Africa, European Union including, and we are speaking about that we as the state are ready to achieve the pre-appointed aims before the war. That was the export to Europe and approximately 30% to Africa, approximately 35 to 40% to the Middle East and Asia. So all of those directions which know Ukraine as the reliable partner are still with us. So we are complying with the mission of the UN to provide food security in the regions which really need products. Several ships were sent with the UN, and as of today we as the state are open for all of the offers which will come to us. But of course, as of today, the enemy, Russia, the aggressor country, is trying in any way to push our country from the external markets, motivating that through these or those reasons Ukraine won't be able to stick with the provisions of the contracts. But we cope with that. The problem exists. The enemy, who is at war with us, not only with its troops on our territory, but also at the external markets. But we know that the Ukrainian grain is cheaper and of high quality, and the logistics is much quicker than from any other region of the world. So the fight is ongoing to overcome those difficulties. What do you think? How will the agrarian market of Ukraine look like this spring if the current tendency stays? We are speaking about the export as it is now. We were speaking about the availability or non-availability of money for the beginning of the sowing campaign. We're speaking about the animal farming, to access to the food and the vaccines. So what are we expecting for in half a year? We should have, unfortunately, will have the decrease of the sowing areas for the winter crops because half of the year of the lack of export, unfortunately, the turnover money were almost over. So the system of the sowing campaigns doesn't have that many money. Lots of enterprises will have to stop this work. It will be approximately 30%. But altogether we understand that if there are no turnover money, then they don't have money to buy fertilizers and also the crop protection and the seeds. So if the pricing does not improve in the country, if the prices onto the grains and cereals don't increase, then the tendency with the sowing campaign will look more into the spring, and then it will be problematic because it will limit access of the Ukrainian products for the substantial part of the world. For instance, if today the autumn sowing campaign will lead to the lack of 30%, several tons of winter crops won't go to the world. Ukraine will be provided. We won't have hunger or food crisis. But this is the money which we could export and earn a lot. And the states which need products could get it. As of the animal farming, of course, during the war, it was destroyed substantially. A very bright example, recent attacks in Zaporizhia region against one of the farming enterprises, which has a very symbolic name of Russia, Rossiya. There were lots of the dairy halls and corridors destroyed. So during the war, approximately 50,000 of livestock was destroyed and killed. So we'll have to catch up with that situation. And now the Ukrainian Agrarian Council, together with our partners, the association, we are conducting the conversations to conduct and to provide these crops all over the country and to provide it for the enterprises which are ready to develop the animal farming. Animal farming is one of the key branches we'll put stakes on because this is the value added on the dairy products, dairy processed products, and that is why I think that during the next half of the year we have the task to shape a vision for the development of the enterprises which will be specializing on the value added, and in this context we need to think where to search for an investor and how to attract state programs for the funding of such projects. As you already mentioned about the investors, another clarifying question. How can we find investors during the war? The best investor during the war should be the internal investor, because we need to understand that the war introduced corrections into all of the spheres of the society. Any economy sphere has been affected, but I'm sure there will be people who were not only into agrarian business, but who are also investing into Ukraine. And knowing that this is a very perspective sphere, out of those Ukrainian investors, you could search for donors to support agrarian sector in Ukraine. As for the foreign businesses, of course it won't be hurrying, because the risks are rather high, and the world business likes everything to be calm and quiet, to earn money rather quietly. But we have such a notion that even during the wartime we can find internal investors who are ready to take responsibility. Thanks to the active actions of the armed forces of Ukraine, we can be sure that it is perspective to invest in Ukraine. So we have the increasing hopes and expectations onto the armed forces of Ukraine to restore our economy fully, including the agrarian sector. Thank you so much. We had Denis Marchuk, Deputy Chair of the Ukrainian Agrarian Council. We were speaking about the first month of the operation of grain export corridor and the perspective of agrarian market for 2023. Our next briefing will take place at 2 p.m. and we will be trying to speak with Natalia Humenuk, head of the United Coordinating Press Center of Security and Defense Forces of the South of Ukraine. We will be speaking about the South, and I do hope we will be speaking officially about Vysokopilya. See you.